In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro launches the Peace Quadrants in the community circuits of Caracas. The Mexican government denied recent statements by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration (DEA) regarding the implementation of a joint operation with the U.S. agency. And in Palestine, authorities have so far registered 112 children dead due to famine and malnutrition caused by the Israeli regime's ongoing siege against Gaza. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro launches the Peace Quadrants in the community circuits of Caracas. The head of state, Nicolás Maduro, reiterated his instruction to regional and local leaders to carry out the first and second projects that were chosen during the last popular consultation held in the country, thus advancing the comprehensive development of Venezuelan communities. The president emphasized that the third transformation of the plan for the homeland is established as a strategic priority of the state with the activation of new peace quadrants. Likewise, the head of state awarded the Order of Peace in its only kind to officials of the Scientific, Penal and Criminal Investigation Corps in recognition of their outstanding work in preserving citizen security and fighting organized crime. And the Venezuelan government informed on Tuesday on the progress of the operation against terrorist actions promoted by the far-right opposition. Precisely, the Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace of the South American nation, Diosdado Cabello, announced the seizing of high-caliber weaponry, including sniper rifles, grenades, among other ammunitions the perpetrators intended to use against the Venezuelan population. During the authorities' address, footage of the armament hiding places was presented as criminals used the special rooms designed to storage the weapons and explosives. In this context, Cabello informed that the investigation to dismantle conspiracy groups related to drug trafficking and money laundering, as well as criminal gangs, has been underway since November-December of 2024, and thanked all government forces involved in the probe, as well as the people who has contributed with crucial leads.
In this organizational chart, I almost dropped this. In this organizational chart of Plaza Venezuela, this organizational chart of Plaza Venezuela, this one here, you remember, right? The explosives in Plaza Venezuela, 2 people were missing, aka El Flaco and aka La Negra. El Flaco was a person that built the explosive, and La Negra was the mediator contacting the gangs in Colombia. The gangs used in Venezuela, again from Colombia and trained in Colombia. They were contacted by this person, and they have already been detained. State security agencies captured them, and thanks to the information provided by both of them, we arrived here. Look at this, because the amount of weapons and the firepower that these weapons have is impressive.
The Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello, also added that both Maria Corina Machado and Iván Simonovic are behind the violent plans against the Venezuelan people.
Who did Maria Corina task with providing proof of faith and effort? Iván Simonovic. This right here has the stamp and responsibility of Iván Simonovic and Maria Corina Machado. These 2 politicians who have lost all shame, and they do not care about seeking alliances with criminal gangs, with drug trafficking gangs, with terrorists and paramilitary groups. Just look, I ask you.
Observen, yo les pido a ustedes. Also in Venezuela, the country rejected Tuesday the constant threats and defamation statements issued by the U.S. government aimed at destabilizing the South American country. In an official communique, the Venezuelan executive said that the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela clearly sees the desperation of the U.S. administration, which resorts to threats and defamation against our country. The fact that Washington accuses Venezuela of drug trafficking reveals its lack of credibility and the failure of its policies in the region. The statement also mentions that while Washington resorts to threats, Venezuela moves forward with determination, peace and sovereignty, showing that the real way to fight crimes is by respecting the independence of the people. The people of Bolivar and Chavez will keep defeating any attempt at intervention. Venezuela is a beacon of dignity, resistance and security for Latin America and the world. And the Venezuelan group Movement of Heroic Mothers called U.S. First Lady Melania Trump to stop the hijacking by her country's immigration authorities of 66 Venezuelan children who are in U.S. territory, separated from their parents. In a public letter sent to the wife of the U.S. President, the group asked for a meeting where they can be heard and propose solutions to end a situation that can leave scars in the minds and hearts of the little ones. The 66 children were separated from their parents when these were detained by the immigration authorities and were handed over to families paid by the U.S. government. The activist mothers also denounced the persecution by U.S. immigration authorities against immigrants and called to end the deportations that divide families. The Mexican government denied recent statements by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration (DEA) regarding the implementation of a joint operation with the U.S. agency. In her usual morning press conference, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum reiterated that the only agreement with Washington on security is one that the U.S. State Department and the Mexican Foreign Ministry have been working on for several months. The head of state specified that the bilateral agreement is based on 4 principles: sovereignty, mutual trust, territorial respect, and collaboration without subordination.
There is no agreement with the DEA. The DEA has issued a statement, but we don't know what the basis for it is. Neither we nor any of the security institutions have reached an agreement with the DEA. The only thing that exists is a group of peace officers from the Secretariat of Security. That is all there is nothing else. We do not know why they issued this statement.
And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Argentine court declares President Javier Milei's veto of the emergency disability law invalid. The measure was declared unconstitutional by the Federal Court of Campana following an appeal for protection filed by the parents of 2 children with developmental disorders and school difficulties. This decision opens the door for similar appeals to be filed in other courts across the country. Although the government may appeal the measure, this ruling represents the first judicial decision to override the effects of the presidential veto on disability issues. And in Paraguay, teachers' union continued to protest to demand fair salary adjustments from the government. Teachers denounced the administration of Santiago Peña insisting on granting a 3.5% salary increase in 2025, despite the fact that they had initially rejected the adjustment. Education workers, on the other hand, are demanding an additional 5% to compensate for the loss of purchasing power. The Teachers Federation argued that the union was not invited to the Ministry of Education's press conference, which shows that the government is not willing to resolve the dispute. The government of Paraguay dismissed the salary increase for teachers. Following a two-day strike called by public school teachers, Paraguayan President Santiago Peña described their demands as genuine. He explained that they had met to discuss the demands, but that the necessary resources were unavailable as they would have to be taken from another social program. President Peña urged that salary issues should be put on hold until next year, when there would be a new round of talks. In Canada, a three-day Air Canada flight attendants strike that forced the cancellation of thousands of flights came to an end after a temporary agreement was reached by the airline and the sector's union. The strike stemmed from the demands of more than 10,000 flight attendants for fairer wages, better working conditions, and the cancellation of working hours on land. The strike went ahead despite an order from the Canadian Minister for Employment instructing Air Canada to resume flights. Both the airline and the Canadian Union of Public Employees, which represents the majority of the company's flight attendants, announced Tuesday the deal was reached after 9 hours of talks, unveiling Air Canada had agreed to pay the employees for the hours the aircraft was on the ground. In Hawaii, scientists expect Kilauea volcano to erupt again in the coming days for the 31st time since September, reaffirming its identity of being one of the world's most active volcanoes. The volcano has reportedly been showing unusual geological activity and small magma formations under the Malamau crater. Some tourists have witnessed lava ejection of up to 300 meters in the air and sediment flowing from the foothills of the geological giant. This is the fourth time in 200 years that Kilauea has fired shots of pressurized lava from its crater, preceded by eruptions in 1983 that accounted for a total of 44 sessions. In Iraq, efforts continued Tuesday to control a wildfire that started Sunday near the town of Halabja in the country's semi-autonomous Kurdish region. According to authorities, the blaze has not been controlled yet due to strong winds and the presence of landmines in the hills and mountains of the area. On the other hand, two firefighters have reportedly lost their lives trying to extinguish the fire, while hundreds of hectares of woodland have been lost to the flames. Even though 10 teams of firefighters working around the clock have been deployed to the affected regions, local authorities are requesting for more staff, equipment and engines to assist in the extinction efforts. And we have a second show break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final show break, don't go away. South. In Palestine, authorities have so far registered 112 children dead due to famine and malnutrition caused by the Israeli regime's ongoing siege against Gaza. Health authorities also reported the death of over 150 adults due to the extreme hunger affecting the Gazan population. The United Nations World Food Programme warned that between April and July 2025, more than 20,000 children were hospitalized for starvation, while 320,000 minors are at risk of severe malnutrition. In addition, the organization denounced Zionist troops for systematically destroying the health, safety, and daily lives of Palestinians. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, PFLP, denounced Tuesday the Israeli genocide and war crimes committed in the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian organization highlighted the firm position of the Gazan people in the face of the massacre carried out by Israeli troops since October 2023. Popular Front said that the Zionist occupation systematically attacks civilians, bombs hospitals, and kills doctors and journalists, while the international community is only concerned with issuing statements. The organization affirmed that the people of the territory will defend their rights and dignity and demanded an immediate end to the aggression, as well as the opening of humanitarian corridors in the enclave. Likewise, a demonstration was held to demand an end to the ongoing aggression in the Gaza Strip. The Gazans condemned the massacres, famine, and malnutrition, as well as the threats of invasion to which they are subjected by the Israeli regime. The mobilization seeks to strengthen national unity and pressure the international community and Egyptian mediators to take immediate action to end the genocide in the Palestinian enclave. United Nations experts on human rights and humanitarian affairs warned Tuesday that the trickle of aid entering Gaza is insufficient to avert widespread starvation. The experts expressed their concern that hunger-related deaths continue to be reported in the Strip, including among children. They also warned of the exponential increase of the crisis in the enclave and stressed that the rates of severe malnutrition in pregnant women and infants is around 40%. The specialist also highlighted the willingness of the Islamic resistance movement, Hamas, to reach a solution to the crisis and condemned the intention of the Israeli regime to use hunger and despair as weapons against the Palestinians. The King of Jordan, Abdullah II, reiterated his rejection of Israel's invasion project in the Gaza Strip. In an official statement, the Jordanian monarch expressed the need to achieve an immediate ceasefire in the enclave and to guarantee the free flow of humanitarian aid. The Jordanian leader also condemned the statements made by the Zionist government about the so-called Greater Israel project in Palestine and the criminal incursions into the occupied West Bank. Abdullah II recalled that Tel Aviv's colonial plan is a violation of international law and of the right of the Palestinian people to their independence. And the Russian government expressed its openness to all formats of negotiations with Ukraine regarding the special operation. Precisely, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov reiterated Moscow's position in favor of dialogue with Kyiv, assuring that President Vladimir Putin has always been willing to engage in talks on the matter, given its importance for the national and regional security. Moreover, Lavrov assured that any type of meeting, whether bilateral or multilateral, should not be used for misguided approaches by the world's media. In addition, he confirmed that following the Alaska summit between Putin and US President Trump, and after Zelensky's trip to the White House, direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine will carry on, while Washington confirmed that preparations are in progress for a conference between the leaders of Moscow and Kyiv. In this context, following the meeting between US President Donald Trump, Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky, and several European leaders, NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte assured that the United States will continue to send weapons to Ukraine. Rutte also emphasized that the deliveries will be made through a new financing mechanism with the support of the countries of the Atlantic Alliance. And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.